All right, let's jump right into this high-yield microbiology explainer. We're zeroing in on a massive pathogen today, one you are absolutely going to see on your boards and in your clinical rotations. Whether you're prepping for exams or getting ready for your next shift on the wards, mastering the differential diagnosis of mucopurulent discharge is essential. And today, we are focusing entirely on gonorrhea. Here we have the complete pathogenesis to cure arc for gonorrhea. Instead of getting bogged down by a massive wall of clinical data all at once, we're going to break this whole thing down step by step, from the causative agent to complications and pharmacological treatment. That way you retain exactly what you need to know for your patients. So, here's our roadmap for today. Pathogen profile, clinical features, local and systemic complications, obstetrical risks, diagnostic investigations, and finally, treatment and pharmacological management. Section 1. Pathogen profile and transmission. First up, the causative agent is N. gonococcus. Now, for your microexams, you absolutely have to lock in this specific categorization. It is a gram-negative cocci. Visualizing that specific shape and stain is your very first step in ruling out the other guys when you're evaluating a smear. The infection is, of course, a sexually transmitted infection passed from an infected person. But here is a massive clinical mandate. Treatment of the partner is mandatory. Seriously, your job isn't done until you've addressed the partner. Otherwise, you're just looking at a vicious cycle of reinfection. And keep in mind, the incubation period is incredibly tight, just 2 to 10 days before symptoms actually manifest. When you're taking a patient history, this little window is a vital clue to pinpointing the exact time of exposure. Moving on to Section 2, clinical features, males versus females. Regardless of biological sex, the clinical presentation often kicks off with a strong systemic response, specifically a sudden onset of a high-grade fever. This acute spike is basically your first major clinical clue, usually hitting before any localized symptoms even show up. From there, the symptoms start to anatomically divide. Females classically present with mucopurulent vaginal discharge and pelvic pain. Males, on the flip side, show up with mucopurulent urethral discharge, dysuria, which is pain with urination, and puria. Keeping these distinct symptom profiles clearly separated in your mind is going to make diagnosing mucopurulent discharge incredibly efficient on the wards. Let's actually isolate that term for a second, puria. It literally translates to pus in the urine. Tying the specific presentation directly to those male urethral symptoms will really help you recall exactly what to look for during a urinalysis. All right, Section 3, local and systemic complications. Because here's the thing, locally, this infection doesn't just stay put. It can easily spread to adjacent structures. We're talking cystitis in the bladder, proctitis in the rectum, or prostatitis in the prostate. These inflammatory conditions show just how aggressive that localized spread can really be. But the real danger lies in dissemination. Systemically, the bacteria can spread right through the bloodstream and lead to some genuinely life-threatening outcomes. You could see bronchitis, pharyngitis, septic shock, and DIC. Rarely, it can even trigger infective endocarditis. However, there is one specific systemic complication we really need to spotlight right now. Let's pause on a massive, super high-yield board fact, the 20 to 40-year-old age bracket. Whenever you see a patient in this exact demographic presenting with severe joint pain, an alarm bell should literally be ringing in your head. Why? Because in that 20 to 40-year-old demographic, gonococcal arthritis is the absolute leading cause of septic arthritis. But here is the critical differential. If your patient is younger than 20 or older than 40, that leading cause completely shifts to Staph aureus. This is a classic exam question and a vital clinical distinction you've got to have memorized. Section 4, obstetrical risk, specifically ophthalmia neonatorum. This is just a devastating chain of events. If a baby passes through an infected birth canal, they are directly exposed to the gonococcus bacteria. The infant then develops ophthalmia neonatorum, which is gonococcal conjunctivitis. If that isn't addressed immediately, it escalates to panophthalmitis, bringing a very real, severe risk of permanent blindness. So, what's your immediate intervention? Chloramphenicol eye drops. You have got to act fast. Moving on to Section 5, diagnostic investigations. So we know what it looks like, but how do we actually confirm this in the clinic? Well, the diagnostic protocol is pretty straightforward. You must obtain a culture of the mucopurulent discharge. This is your absolute gold standard for isolating those gram-negative cocci. And finally, Section 6, treatment and pharmacological management.
For pharmacological management, you basically have three primary single-dose options. Option 1 is a 3-gram oral dose of amoxicillin. Option 2 is a 2-gram IV injection of ceftriaxone. And option 3 is a 500 milligram oral dose of ciprofloxacin. The beauty here is that these are all single-dose regimens, which, as you know, is absolutely fantastic for ensuring patient compliance.
But there is a really vital add-on you can't forget. If you decide to go with the ceftriaxone injection route, you must add probenecid. Why? Because probenecid acts as a beta-lactamase inhibitor, essentially preventing the breakdown of the antibiotic and making sure your treatment is actually effective.
By understanding this full arc, from spotting those gram-negative cocci and nailing down the incubation window, to identifying the distinct presentations and executing the exact right single-dose treatment, you are fully equipped to handle this on the wards. But here's what I want you to ask yourself. Based on everything we just covered, how quickly will you confidently differentiate gonorrhea from other causes of mucopurulent discharge during your very next clinical shift? Keep this clinical picture right in your mental back pocket. Keep studying hard, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.